Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime. I'm putting air quotes on that review. This is RWBY Volume 4, Episode 12. As many of you know, I consider RWBY an anime. I don't care what people say. I consider it that way. And I mean, even the Japanese culture there, if you've seen a lot of the Rooster Teeth videos, they show that it's pretty big in Japan now. It's actually, it's in anime stores. It actually has its own, like, sections, of course. So I consider it an anime. That's why I'm reviewing it. I didn't do the rest of the reviews for a lot of the series so far because honestly, they weren't doing very well in views. And I hate doing that to you guys and girls, but the thing was that I have a lot of other stuff to review and it just wouldn't work out time wise to do videos that no one's really going to watch. So I figured to kind of put it on the wayside, but I did want to get the final episode and the series review out to you because I did review the first couple episodes, so I do want to talk about this. So this episode was really cool though. It ended, I think, Volume 4 on a really good note, where we see, of course, Ren and the gang fighting off the creature from his past, and this was a great fight. I think it was really cool. It was interesting to see Ren get angry and very foolish at one point, but luckily he was saved by not only his teammates but Nora more so than anything else, who kind of calmed down, and then they were able to take down this thing pretty easily for the most part. But it was a nice anti, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it was a little bit too easy of a fight to win. But luckily, it did end on a nice note. I think where when he killed the creature essentially and it was chopping off his parts of its body, it was really epic on how he was talking about this is for my family, this is how for my friends, etc. That was kind of cool. I think it was a very emotional moment. I just wish the fight was a little bit longer or a little bit more in depth, to be honest. But it wasn't bad for what it was by any means. Because I think, in honest truth, comparison to other fights they've had, there have been harder fights they've had. Now, what was really cool though, and I really enjoyed the sequence, was where we have Ren and Nora on the ship that passes by. That actually is luckily that's saving them because they saw smoke from the fight before, and like, oh yeah, we figured someone might need help, and Mistral wasn't even that far away. They were actually pretty close to it, but that gives Crow a lot of time to heal because he was in very bad shape we saw. But we see Ren and Nora on the ship holding hands, which is kind of cool. So they finally looks like being a couple, and I think that was really nice of a sequence of events. Now, the episode ends in two ways, and I'll talk about briefly one moment first, which is, of course, where Ruby is kind of talking to her sister via letter, and just kind of going off of what is going on and where they're at right now. But in the meantime, you see every other girl actually going off onto their own adventures. So you see Yang following in the footsteps of Ruby, trying to figure out where she went through and all that stuff. You see, of course, Weiss taking a ship and trying to go to what looks like Mistral, maybe, most likely. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking that. And we see Blake holding two banners. She's holding a banner of the White Fang currently, which is the one where you see that it's like the red circle around it, and it's got the creature with its eyes cut. And then you also see her original one, which is a nice peaceful symbol. And I think that kind of harkens to her trying to go for that more peaceful symbolism for her race. But also cool is that we also see some later developments where, of course, Crow's okay. He survived, and he even says a nice witty line of like, "Aren't I the one that usually save you?" But Ruby says, "Oh, I think that we're finally going to see some easier times ahead of us," which that should have been key symbol for bad times ahead. When you see one of the enemies that's under I always forget her name, the newest enemy that they're facing, the leader of them. He's talking to the headmaster of the Beacon, not the Beacon Academy, but the other academy. Is it Haven? It's Haven Academy. I couldn't remember the name for it. I apologize. But Haven Academy. He's talking to the headmaster there. So obviously he has some ties with them and some strong, affinity with them. So that's not a good sign for Ruby and her team. But we'll see what happens with probably Volume 5, of course. Also, which I did hear is coming out this year. So that's really awesome to hear. Now, also what ends too is we have the Oscar kid running into Crow and telling him, "Hey, I'm supposed to ask you for my cane back," and Crow just throws him his cane and goes, "It's nice to see you again, Oz." So he obviously knows how Oz is inside his body, or at least able to jump into other people's bodies or use their souls essentially. So that's kind of cool. Now, overall, this whole volume has been very good. I mean, honestly, there were some weaker moments at one point. I think the halfway point took a little bit of a hit, namely with Blake. I do have issues with I think how they made it where it's a lot more about how these girls are facing a lot more weakness than other seasons because they're all kind of scattered. I understand what they're going for there, but I did wish that it would have ended a little faster so we can get them all kind of together within this volume. I wanted them to get back together by the end of this, but at least it looks like they're going backwards, so that helps things out for me at least, and it took away my kind of negative comment about that because I think Team RWBY, it has to be Team RWBY, and having them separated and all kind of distraught because of their loss at Beacon and stuff like that, it kind of hindered the series a little bit for the season for me, but it wasn't bad overall in general. I really loved the animation. The animation was stellar this time around. They, Rooster Teeth to be commended for how much better and how much more money they put into the animation department and all that. The animators really did a really knock up job with this. The voice acting really good because of course you have voice actors that are actually from anime doing some of the main characters of this. That's which is really cool to me. But overall, I did think this was a stellar season. I don't know if it was. I think it was not as good as season 3 or volume 3, excuse me. But I do feel like it was still very good. So that's why if I had to rate this between an A through F, I have to give it a solid B. I think that the show is still very good, and I think that a lot of people really enjoy the fixes to it. I just wish that it would have been a little bit better at the halfway point. I think Blake's story was a little lackluster, to be honest. But everyone else, for the most part, was okay, and I had no issues with that. Anyways, guys and girls, I will talk to you later. Hopefully, you enjoy this review. As always, if you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video. You know the whole nine. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.